All right, we're going to do a quick video on the stat and linear regression use of our calculator. To get started, we need to prepare our calculator though. So let's go to Mode, and let's look down here at Diagnostic. So if I go down to Stat, Diagnostic, right now it's off, and I definitely have to have it on because I need my correlation. So I definitely need it on. So there's my first thing I need to do to prepare my calculator. So let's go to Second Quit. The second thing I want to do is make it plot the points that I'm going to do. And the easiest way to do that is go to y equals and arrow up and press enter. And do you see how plot 1 is now dark? Okay, that's going to tell you that it's going to plot the points and it's going to plot the line. So now we have prepared our calculator to do what we need it to do. So we are going to go to Stat, and that is where we're going to put my data. Stat is statistic analysis, and we're going to analyze the data that we're going to put in. So the first thing we need to do is put in our data, which is edit. So let's go to edit. And as you can see, I have some data here. I'm going to override it with what data, or you can clear it. I'm going to put in some data. I'm going to put in some basic data. -2, 0, 2, and maybe 5. All right. I have loaded some data. Those are my x's, and these are my y's. So I'm going to put in 11. I'm going to put in -9. Let's see, 0 is 4, and 2 is 0, and 5 will be 5. All right, I have loaded my data. Now notice where I've loaded it. I've loaded it in L1, and I've loaded it in L2. Now, I know from looking right up here there's some things going on, so what I'm going to do is go back in here and clear this out because I forgot to clear that out when I did it. So press enter. All right, let's go back to Stat and edit. All right, here's where we are. We've loaded our data. Now to look at our data, we can hit graph. So let's just do that. Let's graph it, and there's my data. Now one of the things that will happen is your data won't fit very well, and if you want to help you get your data to look good on the screen, press zoom and zoom stat, which will get you a grid that's about as close to your data as you can. So go to zoom stat. All right, now what kind of data do you think? Is this linear, quadratic? Is it absolute value? Well, just looking at what we have, it seems to me that it's linear. If this is linear, then here's how we're going to find the equation for it. So I'm going to press stat again, and this time I'm going to go over here to calculate and look at all the different programs that I can run on this data. I have a bunch of programs that I can run, but the one I want to use is linear regression. And what linear regression does is it makes a lot of calculations that decide how far up or down above a line are the data points, so it's finding you the best fit possible. So we want to let this do its own thing. We don't want to have to do it ourselves. So let's let the calculator do the linear regression. We could lay a ruler on this stuff and get a pretty good decision, but why don't we go ahead and let the calculator do its thing. So linear regression. Now, It's asking us questions. Remember, our calculator asks us questions. So it's asking us, is your data stored in L1 and L2? Those are true. So we're just going to hit enter. Now, frequency list is a thing that if you were doing a lot of statistics and you had different lists and you had different things, we don't have any of that, right? So we're just going to go to enter. All right, if I want to store the line I'm getting, now I could just write it on a piece of paper, but why would I do that? Let's try to take advantage of the calculator. If I want it to store what it finds, then I'm going to have to tell it where to do that. And that is vars, that's variance, vars. I don't want x values, I want y values. And I want it to store it as a function. So let's press enter. And I just want it to store in y1. I don't need to store it in any particular place. So let's store it in y1. So I did all of that just to get it to store. Could I write it on a piece of paper? I could. But we're trying to let our calculator do the best it can. All right, let's calculate. Press enter and calculate. And let's see what it gave us. Well, it said that y equals ax plus b. So what's in front of a? Right in front of a is 1.86. Okay, so 1.86x minus 4.17 is my equation. And this right here is the correlation coefficient. This R2, this R squared, that's the correlation coefficient, which tells me if it's really, really, really close to 1, I did a good job. I got a nice basic fit. Is this one close to 1? Well, 0.989, that's about as close to 1 as you can get. So it is a good fit. If I got 0.523, that would be a really bad fit, wouldn't it? So I have 0.989, and that's a good fit. Now let's go over and graph it and see with our eyes if it's a good fit. All right, let's graph. Well, there's our data points, and there's the line that the calculator came up with. Well, that's a pretty good fit, isn't it? Do you say how one is a little above, one is a little below? That's okay, because it shows the best fit. And what is this? Linear regression. We are using the linear regression program to give us a line with the best fit possible in our with our data.